I'm a-coming. I'm a-coming. Hold your horses. Hold your horses. You know, my mum used to say that to my sister Kate all the time, and she used to snap back. I don't have any horses to hold, mother. Kids, they think they're so smart, don't they? So, bet you're wondering why I look like this. Why I look so sexy. Well, this week, council has changed the way that they assess traditional building character overlay houses, extensions to character houses. And it's sent me grey. I reckon I've spent literally half my week on the phone to building designers and architects explaining why council will no longer support their proposals. If I have to do one more of those phone calls, I'm going to keel over. That, and the fact is that it's my birthday next week, so I thought I'd have a bit of fun at the fact that I'm getting old. I mean, 21. It is so old, isn't it? Yeah, I wish. Anyway, today's video, we're going to focus on the 5 key changes that we've seen when it comes to TBC extensions. So if you're a building designer or an architect and you like to focus in this space, then this video is for you. Okay, so let's just dive straight into it. Let's get into those 5 key changes. Number 1, car ports. So previously, if your house was say 4 meters off the front boundary, what we would do is we would have the carport sitting just forward of the house, maybe just to the side of the house, and the rest would be sitting under the front veranda or the front sunroom if the veranda's been enclosed. We would then argue that the carport is to the front, potentially to the side, and therefore it's exempt, so it's not accessible by council. Yeah, councils decide they don't agree with that one. Unfortunately, they've now ruled that the structure needs to be detached from the house and completely forward of the house or completely to the side of the house for that exemption to apply. If you've got it sitting partially under that upper level, under that veranda, then it's accessible. Then the kicker is they draw in a clause, I think it's like section 1 or something of the scheme, to say that that veranda needs a support post, a lightweight support post. That support post comes smack back down in the middle of the manoeuvring area, the parking area, and essentially it means you can't get cars in. So you're left with 2 options. If you've got more than say a couple of meters in front of the house, you can slide the carport forward and have it sitting, these glasses are going to annoy me. Let's see how long they last. Anyway, you can have it sitting forward of the house or you can sit it entirely to the side of the house. Otherwise, your option is to recess it entirely. Oh, they're gone. I'm making the call, it's happening. Or yeah, you can recess it back behind what was previously the front veranda, or still is if it's open. So unfortunately, like I said, we used that for many, many years. It was a good one when you had a site that was too close to the front boundary. Unfortunately, that option is no longer there. Now, number 2, let's go veranda. I'm going to shorten it. Oh, I'm getting old. I can't handle these long words. Verandas. So previously, if we didn't have a front veranda, where am I going to start here? There's so much to talk about here. Okay, so previously, I think it's AO 4.1 or 4.4, can't remember which one it is within the TBC design code. It essentially says that you need to have a veranda on the front of the house. If that veranda had been enclosed and turned into a sunroom, get my hair out of my face, my lovely dough. If that veranda had been enclosed, we would argue that that criterion was not applicable. So we said, hey, the existing house does not have a veranda on the front. It's not reasonable to ask people to provide a veranda, blah, 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 blah. Council was happy with it. We were all happy. We did a little happy dance. We moved on. Anyway, unfortunately, council is now taking the position of saying, well, if you don't have a veranda, you don't comply with that criterion. So then it triggers performance assessment, and performance assessment then opens this whole massive can of worms. Then we start looking at the dwelling as a whole. It's not nice. So yeah, they're essentially using that criterion to force people to reinstate front verandas. Now, it's pretty, well, to me it's pretty obvious. Mortgages and banks. Okay, banks value a property based on the number of rooms that you have. If you suddenly open a sunroom and reinstate that veranda, you're losing a room. So I had a client at Barton, I think it was recently. She said to me, Peter, I've got a 2-bedroom house. If you make me reinstate that front veranda, I lose a bedroom. I'm going backwards in terms of property values. Most people don't have the money in the bank when they go to do a renovation. They rely on the bank to fund it. Obviously, the bank is not going to fund a proposal or an extension that is seeking to devalue a property. It's ludicrous. So we've got issues. That's yeah, let's just leave it at that. Okay, now, next one we're going to talk about, again, I'm going to shorten up, CAPTIONS. So previously, again, AO 4.1, 4.4, I get the two confused, whichever one it is, says that the ground level cannot sit forward of the upper level veranda. Previously, we argued there is no veranda, it's an enclosed sunroom. So our bottom level can come forward. Yeah, it was nice while it lasted. Unfortunately, council is arguing that the sunroom is still classified as a veranda now for the purpose of that criterion. And therefore it has to come back. Yeah, it's not fun. Everyone loves the Hamptons, it's the new craze. Unfortunately, that's gone now. So you need to make sure your lower level doesn't sit forward of your upper level, whether that's an enclosed veranda, open veranda, whatever's going on up top. Now, what am I going to do next? Materials, mats. This is a new one. We haven't fully explored it with council yet. We're still trying to iron it out. But essentially, council's trying to go down the path of saying that we want material variation between the upper and lower level. So, I was going to say I don't understand it, but that'd be a bit of a lie. I do understand where council's coming from. I just don't agree with it. I don't like it. I think it's bloody ugly. Excuse the language. Essentially, council wants some more differentiation or variation between the old and the new. Builders these days are damn good at what they do. They get materials to match exactly what the material was in the original house, and they line things up so perfectly that it is very hard to work out what is old and what is new. So by forcing people to use different materials on the top and bottom, it helps to create that obvious differentiation. I personally think it looks damn ugly. Like, it looks like you ran out of money. If you've got timber weatherboard on the top and you've got FC sheeting down the bottom, looks like you couldn't afford to match it in. Like I said, I understand, but I don't understand. I think it's stupid. Anyway, with that one at the moment, we're trying to argue that the enclosing under the core is covered by the extensions. So, hey, council, you might want some material variation, but you can't ask for it. Council, rightfully so, is going, yeah, you know this little bit over here? That bit is accessible. If you want us to say that that is traditional in keeping and meets the character code requirements, you're going to have to offset it with something over here, like material variation. So we're kind of caught in this point where they're going, yeah, well, we want this, so we're going to use this to get this. And at the end of the day, they are looking at the overall streetscape, so I can see where they're coming from. I just don't like it because I don't like the material variation. Anyway, let's go number 5, roof form. Okay, this has come up on, I think, 1 or 2 jobs so far this week. Essentially, we've been doing a rather large extension to the side of a traditional building character overlay house, and council has come back and said we want the extension portion, the roof form on the extension, to be smaller in scale than the original house. So I was talking to Craig Christie, ASI Planning. I saw him, I think it might have been Tuesday. If you're ever looking for a different town planner, I'm not encouraging you to cheat on me, but if you want to cheat on me, he's a good guy. I'd have a chat to him. Anyway, having chat to him, he mentioned that they have also come across this issue. What they had to do in that situation was essentially lower the roof pitch to make sure that the ridge line or the height of the extension was sitting lower than the main roof form. So that's how they worked around it. I think we'll probably copy that idea on the job that we've got coming up. But yes, that's starting to come out as an issue. So that's the 5 key issues. The next question we come to is why. Went to an industry forum on Monday night. I'm losing track of days in my old age. I think it was Monday, earlier this week anyway. And council made it very clear that they are under a bucket load of pressure at the moment to really enforce the blueprint findings. So that blueprint was released, 2 months ago? Barely any time. They are already receiving a barrage of complaints, written letters from people saying, why the heck are you not upholding what you said you were going to do? Why are you caving already? Here's an approval where you approve a performance outcome. What the heck are you thinking? At the end of the day, the public, and it's not just one person out there that's speaking, it's a bucket load of people. And that's what surprised me. I thought maybe it's it's the vocal majority. What's the saying? Vocal minority, that's it. I was sitting here going, maybe it's the vocal minority and maybe we just need to have more of a say. I think I've come to realize that it actually is a lot more people out there that are pushing for these changes than I originally thought. So given the number of people out there that are actually holding council to account, I guess you'd say, council can't ignore it, unfortunately. So the why, blueprint, public backlash, ongoing backlash, that's the why. And at the end of the day, you think about it. Traditional building character overlay, or traditional houses, pre-1947 houses, are very top heavy, not bottom heavy. Also, most people didn't have cars back then. If they did, they were stored in fancy garages at the back of the property that the servants went to. You didn't have a little carport at the front of the house. That's just not how these places were designed. So the idea of a Hampton style, which has a bottom head, like a big backside, if only you could see my backside in this video, it's rather large. You think up here is big, it gets bigger, this fat suit gets bigger down below. Anyway, the idea of having these bottom heavy houses with dominant car parking at the front and no verandas on the front, that's not in keeping with our pre-1947 character. So that is why council's pushing for these changes here. They're getting the pressure from the public in response to the blueprint, and they really need to go back towards those traditional sort of principles and making sure the original houses dominate the streetscape. So you can kind of see where they're coming from. Like, at the end of the day, as much as it's a pain in my backside, as much as I hate doing those phone calls to people and I'm trying to explain to them why they can't do what they want to do, I do have to give council credit. Like, we give our elected politicians so much crap for never having the balls to stand up and actually fight the hard fights and make the hard decisions. And here they are actually making those decisions. I mean, let's be honest, we all know that a house, if it has a nice open veranda, it looks cuter, it looks prettier. So yeah, I've got to give them credit for going down that path. I just don't like how quickly it's changed and how little warning we've got. But again, like, I want to sit here and go, guys, come on, you need to give us more warning. But I understand completely why they can't. The reality is, you think about demolition as an example. If they suddenly turned around and went, we're going to protect 20% more of the houses in Brisbane, every single one of those properties affected would suddenly lodge a demolition application. Everyone would try to get in before those changes happened. Even if they had no intention of demolition, everyone would do it just to make sure they secured their rights. So if council goes and warns, puts that industry out to the warning out to the industry, that's what I'm trying to say, they would suddenly have a massive influx of applications and it would defeat the purpose of the changes. So as much as I don't like it, I can understand where they are coming from. Okay, options. Up until maybe recently, a couple of weeks ago sort of thing, we were saying to people, you've got 4 key options. Number 1, sit back and wait and see. So maybe wait a few months. Things like, for example, reinstating verandas. Like I said, it doesn't stack up financially, it devalues the property. Maybe council will be put under a lot of pressure. Maybe they'll relinquish on those things. We'll start to see some changes. So sit back, let everyone else have those fights, and then come in on the curtails and basically benefit at the end. Option number 2, be one of those forefront runners, those guinea pigs, the ones that go in hard and fight. Number 3, design to avoid a DA, so redesign to avoid triggering the need for a town planning application. Option number 4, design to give council essentially what they want, so those open front verandas, all of that sort of stuff. Option number 1, council's made it very, very clear that what we've seen, and this came out through the industry forum earlier this week, that what we've seen is only the start of the changes. They are only going to get tougher and tougher. So I think I finally need to concede that sitting back and waiting is not going to change anything. You're still going to be faced with the exact same issues in 3 months' time. So that issue really has gone. Option number 2, I think I'm starting to concede defeat in terms of changes as well. At this point, we have a lot of clients that have spent maybe the last 12 to 18 months designing proposals. Those mums and dads, those clients are emotionally attached to these designs. I had one client with a heartbreaking phone call yesterday. She was like, but you don't understand. Our whole proposal is designed around this outdoor area, this extension to the site. If we can't have that, it affects everything else. We are emotionally attached to this. We've planned our future in this house. If you suddenly tell us we need to cut that back, that kills everything for us. So I can understand for those people, they're so far advanced in the process that hearing no from just a little old town planner, it just ain't going to stack it. They're not going to listen to me. They're not going to want to suddenly change their plans. They want to hear it from council. So there will be, for probably the next month or so, we'll be lodging applications where we say, let's give it our best shot. Let's work as hard as we possibly can to convince council. And if they say no, at least we know what we're dealing with. It's not the, I think this, it's council has said this, and we can make those changes. But then we'll get more certainty over what council will and won't accept, and then we'll stop lodging those applications that have no chance or that we know are going to have to be negotiated backwards. Something I will clarify though, it's very, very rare, and we pride ourselves on trying to have a positive working relationship with council to make sure this doesn't happen, that you will get a refusal out of council, out of thin air and just out of nowhere. Council will always look to negotiate and to work to try and redesign or tweak the design to get a mutually beneficial outcome. So there's really nothing to be lost by lodging that application and fighting with council, as long as you're aware of the chances of success and the fact that you may need to negotiate, or I say may, more than likely at the moment, need to negotiate back to an alternate design. So really, that leaves 2 options. Design to avoid a DA, which we all know is always the best option because it's the cheapest and quickest option. So if you can do that, hey, that's a winner. Or redesign to meet council's requirements. Open verandas, sitting back in line with the upper level, carports back or forward, all that sort of stuff. So I think that covers everything I wanted to talk about today. We've gone through all of the changes that we're starting to see happen within council. We've explained why they're pushing for these changes, public backlash, and the fact that they want to create more traditional looking sort of houses, and the 4 options that you actually have available. Hopefully this video has helped. If you've enjoyed it, or if you just want to give me a bit of a heads up for the ridiculous outfit, give me a like, comment, or share below. Otherwise, thanks for watching.
For all you red tape lovers out there, I have one thing to say. Well, no, actually, I've got 3. Number 1, the advice provided in these videos is general in nature. It's not site specific. You would be a silly Billy to go and make financial decisions based on this advice without first checking with the town planner. Don't be a silly Billy. Number 2, Brisbane town planning is in no way linked to Brisbane City Council. The views expressed in these videos are my own, not council's. So if you don't like them, blame me, not council. Number 3, what was my number 3? Oh yeah, the views expressed in these videos are accurate at the time of recording. If you're watching this video back 10 years from now, the views may not be so accurate. That's all. Bye.